Started. So today we have boot camp and we're going to do 3 rounds here today, 45, 15. We are going to do a little bit of some lateral movement as well as a little bit of single leg work. So if you have enough space to move side to side is perfect. If not, we'll kind of tweak things a little bit for you, but I'm going to go ahead real quick with demos and then we'll get into it. So first movement here, we're going to do some lateral plank walks. So what that's going to look like, we're going to be on the ground, hands and toes. You're going to start on one side of your space and we're gently going to just move in one direction. So keeping our hips nice and even and then going back the way we came. So depending on how much space you have, you can go one and then back the other way, whatever you can do today, but that's going to be our first movement. Oh my goodness, my shoulders are already on fire. Next, after that, we're going to do pike push-ups. So hands and toes, but hips are in the air, bringing our head down to the ground and pushing back up. So that's going to be our second movement. And then after that, we're going to do some staggered squats. But we are going to do all on one leg and then all on the other leg. So placing all of our weight on one of our feet, coming up on our other toe, so you can either have your foot a little bit behind or even. We just want to make sure it's not a split squat. And we're going to squat down, push through our one leg here. So it's going to look like just like a regular squat, except for we're really only using one leg. And then we'll switch over to the other side and do the same thing. So staggered squat each leg. And then moving on, we're going to do a lateral bound. So for this, we're going to start on one leg. We're pushing our hips back, kind of sinking into our hip here. And then we're going to jump land on the other foot. So if I went this way on one foot and then back and back. So we want to stabilize ourselves before we move to the next leg. Try to have our only use one leg. So we want to try not to set the other leg on the ground. And if jumping is not available to you today, that's no problem. You can just step as far as you can and keep both your feet on the ground at the same time. So that's movement number 5. And last but not least, we're going to do a lateral skip or march, whatever feels more comfortable for you today. I sometimes like to march a little bit first before I start skipping. But we're going to push off. That's what the march is going to look like. And then if we're skipping, we're going like this, I think. Yeah, that seems right. It takes a little bit. I know for me, it might take me a few things to get the skipping down, but yeah, so that's going to be our full circuit for today. So we're going to go ahead and start with our warm up. We're going to go ahead and come to the top of our space here for the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to go ahead and interlace our fingers and grab one of our knees, pull it towards our chest. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands are going to come down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg stays nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And to exhale, bring our hand towards the ceiling, thumb facing behind us, looking at our palm. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we can go ahead and exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. Perfect. All right, same thing, other side. Interlace our fingers, grab onto our other knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to go ahead. That's my same knee. Oh my goodness. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. I just got really confused for a second. I couldn't remember what leg I just did. All right, let's go ahead. Exhale, open up towards our front leg. Hand is up towards the ceiling, palm facing us, looking at our palm here. And exhale, putting outside your front foot. Bringing our back foot a little bit closer and pushing our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And Exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. And next up, last but not least, let's go ahead and walk our hands out into a plank here. We're gonna get ready for plank to pike, but I want us to do just a little bit of a hand walk out here. So walking our hands out, push your hips up. Just pedal your heels, whatever you need to do here. And then we're gonna go ahead and make these next two really quick. So we're gonna push up and down. And last one coming up. Now we can go ahead and make our way back to our plank. Bring your knees to the ground. And go ahead and stay on the ground because we're doing our plank walks first. So I'm going to go ahead and get the timer ready. So we're starting off 45-15. We're doing lateral plank walks. So you're going to be on your hands and toes walking to one side and then the other side. So we have 45-15, getting the timer ready. 3, 2, 1, and go. So starting off hands and toes, making sure our core is engaged. Let me go this way for a little bit. We're going to step out and back with the same hand coming out and the same hand and the same leg. You can do however many you would like in each direction. I like to do 3 each way because I like to make it even. Because we're going to get a little bit more, like if you're going to the left, you're going to put a little bit more pressure on your right hand and then your left, and then the other way is vice versa. So whatever feels good. Keeping our hands underneath our shoulders. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, my core is already sore. Okay, next up, pike push-ups. So we're going to tuck our toes, have our hips up. 3, 2, 1. So getting into position here, core is still engaged. We're bringing our head in between our hands as close to the ground as we can. We want to make sure as we come down, our elbows are pointing back towards our legs, not out to the sides. Great job, y'all. Really try and keep pushing. You take a second, right back into it. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, next up, staggered squats. We're gonna do all on one leg. So this leg, you can choose whichever one you want to start with. We're doing all 45 on this leg. 3, 2, 1. So I'm gonna use my right leg first. I'm gonna be on the left toe, squatting down and driving through, just using my right leg. So making sure knee is still tracking right past our second toe. Our chest is staying in the center. We want to try not to lean over. We don't want to shift our weight. We want to keep our center of mass straight in the middle, in between our feet. Squatting down, driving through our whole foot. And, as I always say, I like to go slower on my right leg, so I really engage my muscles. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, getting ready. We're going to do the same thing with our other leg. So I'm going to move to my left leg this time. Same thing. I'm going to face this way for this one. 3, 2, 1. So again, making sure to, it's not a split squat. We don't want our back leg back here. We want it, I really personally like it to be underneath our hip. So it's as regular, like as close to a 2-legged squat as we can get it, because that's going to help us have no shift in weight. We're not really going to lean over. It's going to strengthen our squat. So our leg in our squat position. So that way we can get better at 2-leg squats versus having our foot more off to the side or back. But finding that position that feels good for you. 3, 2, 1. All right, next up we have our lateral bounds. So we're going to start off on one side and jumping to the other side. A bound is when you jump from one foot to the other foot. 3, 2, 1. Versus a hop, you jump and land on the same foot. So if you did not know, now you do. But really try and stabilize before you move to the next side. We could do a continuous one, but I want to do a non-counter movement one where we do that pause for stabilization. So then that way we can make sure we're set before we jump. Is going to help strengthen our legs, our muscles, our knee joints. Because if we're not set and we jump too quickly, that's where it can lead to some injuries. And this is an injury-free zone. I try and make sure we do things that will help us prevent them. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have our lateral march or skip. I'm going to do a couple marches before I try skipping, but we want to push off the opposite leg of the direction we're moving in. 3, 2, 1. So if you only have space, you can always do back and forth this way, or you can always march or skip in place as well. This is supposed to help us with our lateral movement, again, preventing injury. We're working on our core strength, single leg strength, a little bit of everything. So let's see if I can get the skipping down. There we go. Now double tap each of your feet and then get your other knee up. Takes a little bit, like I said, takes a little bit of coordination to get the skipping down. So I like to march at least one time before I move to the skipping. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Round 1 is done. We have 2 more to go. Back to the ground, lateral plank walks. I'm going to go this way. 3, 2, 1. So screwing our hands into the ground, just like anything else we do on our hands and toes. Catch my breath real quick. So you don't need to do super big movements here. You can do little baby steps. Try to keep everything as level as we can. It's a little bit tricky moving back and forth, but we're doing great. A little bit more. Keeping our core engaged, pelvis is tucked. 3, 2, 1. All right. I don't know why I'm standing up. We have pike push-ups next. Those ones really get the shoulders firing. Y'all know I love shoulder work, so it's not surprising I put these in here. 3, 2, 1. Let me know if y'all like those versus like plank shoulder taps or any other plank movements we do. I really do like to try and switch it up as much as I can while keeping the same basic movements, like upper lower pushes and lots of push-ups. Great job, y'all. Keep pushing. More arms might be tired right now, but we got this. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Perfect. We are moving right along to our staggered squats. Choosing whichever side you want to start with. 3, 2, 1. Can always make it a little bit more challenging. Slow it down. So lower nice and slow. Stand up nice and slow. The other thing that will make it a little bit more challenging is as we stand up. So if you notice, like I'm not coming all the way up. I'm not pushing my hips forward. I'm not sitting up as nice and straight. I have a slight bend in my knee. That's going to keep the tension on my glutes, which I'm sure at this point y'all have heard me talk about time under tension. When we create that constant tension, we're engaging more muscles, more muscle fibers in our glutes. 3, 2, 1. And that will help us build that strength and the endurance for our muscles as well. All right, on to the next side, and then we have our more cardio-based movements. 3, 2, 1. So same thing. And if you're like me and you have one side, that as soon as you start moving, you feel it right away. And the other side, that takes a little bit of time. You can always take a little bit slower. I know my left leg, so this leg, literally anytime I do any lower body push, my glutes and my legs immediate. This, my right side, takes a little bit of effort. So that is also why I like to do single leg things like this or lunges. So that way we can really focus on one leg at a time. So that way when we go to a 2 leg, we're a little bit stronger in that movement with our legs together. 3, 2, 1. Gotta get ready for all my squats. I gotta do my workout later. All right, lateral bounds are next. I'm gonna face this way. This time, we're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So we are pulling our rubber band, right? So that way we're sinking into our hips, our knees slightly bent, our hips are a little bit back, kind of like we're about to do an RDL. We're gonna jump, land. The way we land is also the same position as when we take off, right? So we're here, we're jumping. My landing and takeoff position are the same. This is a great time for us to work on our landing mechanics, right? We want to land nice and soft. Hopefully we don't hear my feet too much. Otherwise, what I say is not what I'm doing. But I do try and make sure my feet are nice and light here. 3, 2, 1. All right, last part of round 2, we have lateral marches or skips or both. If you're like me, you need both. 3, 2, 1. That's mainly to get the routine rhythm down. So pushing off, nice and tall through our torso. Knees are coming up. Want to try and get our knee, mind frame, try and get our knee in our hip 90 degrees, 90-degree angles here. Get our arms moving. We're skipping, we're double tapping. It's the same thing. We're still getting our knees up. You can also do it in place. You don't have the space to be moving back and forth. Be careful here. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. Plank walks. Coming on up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Screwing our hands in underneath our shoulders. Into our pulley. Again, just doing the number of walks over. That feels good. You take a second. Last round, best round here. I'm rocking so much. Okay. We got this. 3, 2, 1. Okay. We're done with those for today. We have our pike push-ups, and then we're done with our upper body for today. 3, 1. That is, of course, unless you are doing another class later, then I cannot speak for them for the upper body stuff. But for this class, the last upper body movement for today. It's falling out. Great job. Keep pushing. We are doing great. I know sometimes doing planks and then push-ups back to back is a lot on our shoulders, but I know y'all are getting strong at this point because we're doing it a lot. 3, 2, 1. Okay. We are done with our body today. We are moving on to our staggered squats. 3, 2, 1. All right, pick your foot, whichever foot you want to start with. Like I said, if you need to move slower on one foot versus the other foot, this is my problem side, which I know I talk about things being connected all the time, but our bodies, really everything in our body is connected. So for example, right, I talk about how my right glute is a little bit slow to activate on this side. Coincidentally, and by that I mean it's really not a coincidence, this is my tight hip. So tight hips lead to weaker glutes, which is why we have low back pain sometimes. 3, 2, 1. So sometimes our hips then lead to other issues other places, and vice versa. So really important. That's why I like to incorporate multiple types of movements in classes. 3, 2, 1. Same thing the other side, but also why I really focus on single leg strength, why we do some hip flexor strengthening stuff sometimes, and all of that, because everything in our bodies are connected. Great job. We're finishing our squats strong this round. And then after this, we're moving on to our lateral bounds and then our skip/marches. And then we will cool down and be on our way. 3, 2, 1. All right, done with those. We have our bounds next. We are doing amazing today. We got this. Finishing strong here. 3, 2, 1. We are going. Whew. Making sure we are sinking into our hip. That's going to help us with our balance as well. The closer we are to the ground, the better balance we're going to have. So if you land and you're up here versus down here, you're going to have a lot better balance because we're going to use more of our leg muscles as well versus putting all the stress on our joints. As our glute muscles, our quad muscles, and our hamstring muscles all together are stronger than our knee joint. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're done with those for today. Last movement of boot camp. I almost said exercise with exos. I guess I thought it was Thursday for a second. Last boot camp for Wednesday. 3, 2, 1. And by that I mean last boot camp movement. I don't want you all to think this is the last Wednesday boot camp. I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm gonna start moving instead. All right, driving our knees up. Doing awesome. Skip or march, whatever feels good. I think I might just march this one out. Great job, y'all. Keep going, keep pushing. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. We're gonna go ahead and make our way to the ground. Get some water. We're gonna go ahead and do some figure 4 today. Open up our hips. Let's go ahead on our backs here, feet flat on the ground. We're gonna cross one of our ankles over our opposite knee. And if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. You need a little extra, interlace your fingers, grabbing on either to the middle of your hamstring. You don't want to be behind our knee here, so you want to be in the middle or in front of our shin. And pull our knee towards our chest. Slowing our breath down. And one more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, and gently bring our feet to the ground. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So other ankle over our knee. And if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. Or you can interlace your fingers, grabbing either in the middle of your hamstring or in front of your shin and pulling your knee towards your chest. Sighing away our tension. Go ahead and do one more inhale. And as we exhale, when we're ready, and gently release out of that, bringing our feet back to the ground. And feel free to stay laying on your back or return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. But that is going to be all the time I have for us today. So, as always, thank you all so much for joining me. That was a good one. I feel like those plank walks really killed my shoulders. So, y'all did awesome. Thank y'all again for joining me. Hopefully, I'll see y'all again tomorrow for Exercise the Exos. And yeah, have a great day, y'all.